All right, we're live. Go. You share the class on the groups.
Don't let them take you out your spirit, gotta stay focused. Can't go back living how I was, cause it's repulsive. I don't ask for much, this all I ever wanted. And not killing down behind it, you can quote me. Yeah, these hoes for the streets, they ain't holy. I ain't pulling up the spiritual when devils kiss your boots. We ain't no cowards, please don't say what you gon' do. I post something on the internet, you think you gotta prove. Cause I got Karak Ice, I got Shia Ward, got I.S.U.P.K, I got I.S.U.P.K, got Kabata, I got Tazaba, got Kakamai, got Karayala, got your rocket board, tribe it's a card, we got private war. Couple young men in this bitch with an out of war. If you ain't in these ranks, then you out of order. It's a time for everything right now, it's time for war. And I'm still the same nigga when I'm not recording. I pull up, shoot from half like a Michael Jordan. I don't think they fit to join the Lord's army. I survived a Christian church, moral of the story. I done beat so many demons, I got war stories. Rumbling so hard, core look like I'm morphed on it. Appetite for battle, yeah, I'm war hungry. I ain't choose this life, the Lord chose me. I'm a certified priest and I don't take that lightly. How I feel about this shit, yeah, I can't describe it. I know they mad at me, cause I can't trust the white man. I gird up my loins, it be something mighty. It was done in private, it's gonna come to light. Speak the truth into these bones and watch them come to life. All my friends are dead, yeah, you saw the plagues, yeah. For this whole shit, you know, man. Busy, man, busy, man. Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck, and they hear with that shit. I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show the boy what time it is. I pop on like a Samuel, I got time to kill. Niggas thought I died, I survived. Still no high daddy, nice, but he don't show the skills. I show the skill, he ride, but he don't work the wheel. I work the wheel, they dead up inside the circle tight. Yeah, back you see him, know they for my life. I ain't worried, I got rape for it. I got real soldiers, kill for it, nigga. Watch yourself. They say you been in beast mode lately, you is now. We dropping it fast, precious fast, they inquiring. They can't stop what's coming, but I see them conspire on the line, the fire with this bitch here. Feel like break the skin on kindness, I don't trust you, circle small. You can keep your bitches, me and my niggas don't keep no serious. In the feel like Jeepers Lakers, say they full of rubber, Billy Bang shit, nigga. They turn your head off, nigga. Say with Eve, did the Adam, I just pray my love don't lie to me. Swinging high like cats, and I can't let no hold the lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I only run what they said, this shit light work. People humming one of us, he might lose his life first. Circle up and stay alert. Never cop can stretch the nigga. Anything that gets the exorcism, watch how bless the nigga. So that open blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. Fuck the opposition, I see vision. Let me break the script. Rappers can they spit, I ain't listening. Is it fact the different beings was a woman, now I stole that bitch like James. How I war, we gon' run the summer. It's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. As you running shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one being cookies with the hawk. I'ma get them crackers hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do better. Bet I be the last nigga standing. Doing like singing for my niggas, pray you understand it. I might put a switch on this guy and call it young guy. How you real treating on the guy? You a bird feeder. Claim to hear demon. What's the difference to a cold nigga? When he says something, I ain't hear him. This shit like it ain't on who got the gun. It's on who gon' up that fight first. I turn a bad situation to a game. Street soldiers from the dead. Just wake up the chain. Free shots. Someone look like Aaron Jones. When I run it, never bite their hand and teach you. You'll never get their hand back. He bitching about 10%. I don't want to hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him. Just make sure you get that cover back. Look around. He ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody want me with your quarter. Dark him like Alpo. Playing me for his laying in the trunk like Lee Alpo. A certified woman says, nigga, I am not a joy. Hey, I with that hollow son. Yeah, this the rubber. You are not tuned in to the I.S.U.P.K. We still here. Still standing. UPK. We never left the building. Commander General YAHANNA. You know. Whoa. Check it out. Rolling to America. Seize everything and bring these crackers to their knees. I need everything and I do mean everything. I know they don't like us. Go ahead and try us. Don't make me call upon the Lord and put this over fire. I'm only getting better and I'm only getting higher. And you are getting weaker. That's why you cannot beat us. I know you do not like us. You don't like you neither. You went against the grain. You should be ashamed. You went against the king. Let's just call it treason. Can't wait for killing season. All that shit that you be preaching. Let me see if you believe it. They say they can't be touched. Well, I'm about to put my hands on them. No more missing nice guy. I gave that spirit up. Lord, give me strength so I can tell the city up. Babylon is falling, but it's just that's enough. Angels with a nigga, so you niggas cannot touch.
Shalom Yahweh Shem El Shai Barak Thumb to all the brothers, Yah Shemar Thumb Shem El Shai to all the sisters, Priest and Officer 1000 Zabaja, other I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General YAHANNA. Started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been teaching since 1969 that the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites of the Bible, are the Israelites of antiquity, right? We found our heritage, our nationality that was beaten out of us from the oppressor during slavery. With me, I got Priest and Officer 500 Shaywan.
Shalom Israel, Shem Thumb.
Right, and we're going to go into our class tonight. Tonight we got a topic that, like, if you're Canadian and you live anywhere in the GTA, you've experienced some type of harassment, some type of oppression from the police officers, right? Especially if in the Peel region, right? In Canada, when we were youth growing up, or in Toronto in general, right? We would say as a joke, Peel region is called no deal Peel, right? They make no deals and they extremely harass brothers and sisters. All right, so is this still going? Can you like those, Baba Kasha? Right, so we got an article that's gonna talk about the harassment that we've been facing from Peel region, right? Especially for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being such a low number in those communities. Right, so we're going to go into it. Show you one. When you got the article, you can read it.
Come. This is a article from MSN. Salaki, this is an article from cbc.ca. Titles, Peel Police Use Force on Black People 3.2 times more than their share of population last year.
Right. So that's something that we've always known, right? Shalom, sir. Yahweh Shem El Shabrak Kafam. The water for tuning in. Right. That's something that in Canada we've always known, right? If you're young and black, especially black males, right? There is no secret that we are over policed, we are brutalized by these police officers, right? Read that title again.
Come. Peel Police used force on Black people 3.2 times more than their share of population last year.
Right, and they use force on us, right? A lot of times they don't even need to be doing that. But because we're not human to them, because we're just niggas and criminals, right? They don't look at us as the Israelites. They don't look at us as we deserve respect or we have feelings or we deserve human rights, right? They use us as punching bags. Right? A lot of times you have police officers who will straight up take their aggression out on black youth. Right, and not even to mention the racism that we face. Right, you can keep reading the article.
Come. Peel Regional Police used less force on Black people last year compared to 2020, but still did so 3.2 times more than Black people's share of the population.
Right, so it's saying last year they used a little less force than what they used on us in the previous year, right? But they're still using force 3.2 times more than what our population is, right? And you can see it. A lot of times, the police, he's not out there beating up the Asian man or Moabites, right? He's not beating up the Chinese man. He now you'll have some Edomite will jump out of his car, right? And straight up talk to the police like however he feels, like because he knows he has a nation that's going to back him, right? When it comes to being black and Hispanic, we're always taught that okay, you got to do what the police say, right? And you could be fully complying with the police. They'll tell you hop out the car, you'll hop out. They'll tell you put your hands up, you'll put your hands up, but somehow your face will still get grinded into the pavement. Right, we had a brother, Salakia, Devontae, I believe his name is Devontae Miller, right? He got into a fight with a off-duty police officer and his brother, and they beat him with a steel pipe, right? But they weren't convicted of aggravated assault because in Canada, the police have brotherhood. Right? They have a brotherhood, they have a fraternity where they know that if you beat up a black person, no one's going to do anything about it. Right? You could keep reading in the article.
Okay. Police used force against 289 Black people in 2021, compared to 345 the year before, signaling a 16% drop, according to an annual use of force report presented to Peel's Police Service Board Friday.
Right. So they use force. Can you bring me those numbers again? They use force 289
times against Black people.
Against Black people. Right. In 2000, compared to the 345. Right. So it's a drop in the number, but it's still force being used on a people that you don't really have to use force on us because most of us are going to comply with the police anyways, right? A lot of brothers in the city, they've already been to jail and back, so they're not really afraid of the jail time, right? But the police, because they like to brutalize us, and it's something that they've learned from their fathers, right? They learned from their fathers because that's how they built Canada. They built excuse me, can you put that in the front? That's some strong incense. Right. They built Canada off force by using force and aggression against so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right. To the point where it's nothing for the police to do it. Especially when you go into the Peel court system, you're not going to see your peers judging you. Meaning you're not going to see your own people judging you. It's going to be the police officer's cousin. His cousins are going to be the ones deciding if their use of force was justified or not, right? Even to say, okay, another reason why they get to away, Salakia. Another reason why they get to get away with brutalizing so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is because there's no oversight, right? The police get to investigate the police. And when police is investigating police, you're not going to get justice, right? We scream no justice, no peace, but even though we don't get justice, we still seek peace with the oppressor, right? Meaning you have groups screaming no justice, no peace for about a day or two. And then shortly after that, everyone goes back to normal. Like it's just normal. It's out of the news. We've forgotten about it. Let's go back to being friends with our oppressors and drinking in bars with them and going to their parties, sleeping with their daughters and their sons. And then you forget about the love of your people. What else is in that article?
Okay. Black people make up less than 10% of Peel region's total population.
Good night. So we're making up less than 10%, right? Keep reading.
The group accounted for 32% of all use of force reports.
Right. So you can clearly see that we are being over policed. Right. Baba Kashad, can you get me Lamentations? Get Lamentations 4 and 17.
Okay. It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet fail for vain help in our watching.
Right. So when that us is talking about so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the children of Israel, the same people that are in the back of these cruisers, right? The same people that are being brutalized with the police's nightstick when they taser us, when they shoot us to death, right? As for us, we're watching for help, right? We haven't gotten that help. No one is coming to help us, right? And this is to let you know that the oppressor, he doesn't love you. Those heathen nations, they don't love you because they never speak up, right? The most they'll do is they might march with you in some march that really doesn't mean anything, because we've been marching since the 60s and we're still saying the same thing: hands up, don't shoot, or no justice, no peace, or we're not gonna rest. And then we go right back into the rest because this place is not our resting place, right? And the lack of love for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is why this keeps happening. Keep reading.
We have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Who's come to save blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Like, who's coming to save the young black man in Peel region getting beat up by some uniformed officer on the side of the road? Everybody just drives by, or they might pull out a phone and record it, but no one's coming to save him. No one's coming to help him, right? And when we speak about it, like for instance, there was supposed to be Salake, what's the group the ombudsman had? That was the police oversight. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I could find it. Bear with me. Bear with me one moment. Right? No one's coming to watch us. No one's coming to help us or come run to our rescue while we go through the oppression that we go through. Right? And this is something that happens every day. Black people in Peel region, they make up less than 10%, but are 32% or in the 30s. It's in the 30s. What was that number again?
So 32%. It said Black people make up less than 10% of Peel region's total population. The group accounted for 32% of all use of force reports, the highest out of 7 different racial groups, including white, East and Southeast Asian, South Asian, Middle Eastern, Latino, and Indigenous.
Read that one more time.
The group accounted for 32% of all use of force reports, the highest out of 7 different racial groups, including white, East and Southeast Asian, South Asian, Middle Eastern, Latino, and Indigenous.
Right. As we said earlier, they do not look at the Asians like how they look at Black people. They don't even look like Africans at how they look at us. Like, they know the difference, right? And when it comes to us, we're attacked, right? Can you Google Shalaki? The group is through the ombudsman, right? It's a group that they monitor police shootings and brutality, right? They don't. There's no accountability for police officers when it comes to attacking Black people. Right, we're in the streets where we're getting harassed, we're getting beat down or shot to death, or having our eyes beaten out of our head with steel pipes, like Devontae Miller. Right, and no one does anything about it. No one says anything about it. There's no big uproar. There's a group through them that watch the police officers.
OIPRD.
You would have to tell me what that acronym is, but Salaki, we'll find it in a second if you can't find it. Right, but there was a group that they were supposed to. Salaki. Okay, this is what you do. Google.
It's called the Office of the Independent Police Review.
What year is that from? I thought it was called something different. Right.
22.
Okay. Save that and then Google Doug Ford gets rid of police overwatch and see what pops up. Right. So there was a while back, right, a politician. There was a politician, right? Kathleen Wynne. She was an Edomite, and she's a liberal. But just because she's liberal, that doesn't mean she's any better than her counterparts, the conservatives, right? She was setting up for the police to be watched by a civilian board and not the police board for more accountability. Somewhere in that article, they should talk about the name of this group. It might be somewhere in there. You keep reading, keep scrolling. Right. She was setting up for a group of civilians to be able to decide the matters of what happens during these police brutality cases, right? They had an election, she lost the election, and in came another devil, right? The same snake, but another head, right? Because politicians is like a game of two-headed snakes, right? You think that one head is better than the other, but it's the same snake. It goes to the same belly, and blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are still devoured, right? When Doug Ford came into office, he basically said there's not going to be any overwatch for the police. SIU, that's it, right? So there's a special investigations unit, the SIU, and Doug Ford basically said the SIU is now not going to be civilians how Kathleen Wynne wanted it, but he kept it the same, right? Meaning police are investigating police, and that is a reason for why that's the reason why these cases are rarely spoken about. That's a reason for why we could be brutalized and no one does anything about it. Right? This is why you're not going to seek justice or find justice from the unjust. Right? You got the rest of that precept?
Sir. Verse 18. They hunt our steps.
Right. The police officers are hunting our steps, especially in black youth. You again, 10% of the population makes up 32% of the brutality done by police officers. Now, if that's not hunting our steps, if that's not destroying us, right? What is? Here's another thing. Another thing is, which is now this also happens in America, just like it has in Canada. But in Canada, our jails aren't really privatized, right? But they build jails in specific areas in Canada. For instance, the Central North Correctional Facility, which is in Penetanguishene, that place employs damn near majority of that zone or that district, right? Black people go to jails and employ white towns. What else you got in there?
That we cannot go into our streets.
Black people, it's like, who wants to go outside in Peel Region? Again, we used to call it no deal Peel. I remember as a youth, as in my young man days when I was in the world, right? People would say, there's a party in Brampton. And I would say, I'm not going there. Or there's a party in Mississauga, but we got to drive. And you don't want to drive there because you're getting pulled over for no reason. You'll get followed for no reason. You'll literally be going the opposite way of a cruiser, right? And that cruiser will U-turn on you in traffic simply because you're driving while black, right? They look at you like you're not supposed to have that car, or what are you doing in this town? This area is not for you. That's the last of the precept.
So,
come on, you can keep reading.
Our end is near.
Right. Keep reading.
Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
We're being punished by the Lord for not following his righteous laws and commandments, right? Because Christianity, now the same Christian pastors that are here right now, they're the same Sadducees and Pharisees that were around before, right? And they've led us into burning houses like Martin Luther King has done. They've led us into loving this oppressor and thinking that we don't have to keep the laws, right? Keep no laws except the tithes. Pay all the tithes to the church, but you can eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. And these are part of the reasons why we're going through these curses, right? But our end, right? An end to these curses, an end to this punishment is definitely coming to an end. Where we're not going to have to worry about our oppressor brutalizing our children very soon, right? Because the oppressor and all these heathen nations that sit idle and watch and even participate, they're going to be in captivity where they belong. For the captivity that they put us through. This is a horrible captivity Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are going through right now. Right, where our steps are being hunted. You don't even want to go outside in the streets. I seen a video, right? There was a video. I wonder if I could find it. I'm gonna see if I could find it. Right, there was a video of some child. He's playing outside on his driveway, and I'm assuming this is America, but it's damn near the same thing that happens to us in Canada, right? He's playing on his driveway. He notices the police down the street, right? He notices the police are coming and they're down the street. He hides behind the back of his parents' car because everyone knows, especially when you're Black and Hispanic or Native American, that you could just get snatched up by the police and disrespected and beat up and assaulted, right? When a police officer hits you, it's assault, right? If you and nothing happens about it, right? When if you merely strike a police officer, it could be by accident. It could be you're not even trying to go to jail, so you might run, right? And you strike a police officer, you're gonna get a lot of time, right? You're gonna damn near get years of your life taken away because you struck a police officer. But when 3 police officers pin you to the ground and they're beating you and fracturing your ribs, or an off-duty police officer seeing you in a town that's predominantly white and he's questioning you, and you're like, why are you talking to me? Because you don't even believe he's a cop because he's not in uniform, he's not presenting a badge, right? You're trying to get away, he attacks you, and you defend yourself, and then him and his brother proceed to beat you with a pipe until you lose the sight in your eye. Nothing happens, right? They get convicted of assault, but not aggravated assault, right? And there's a difference between the assault and the aggravated assault, and a lot of times these same police officers are right back on the force. They might switch towns or be in a different cop shop or division, how have you, but they're right back on the force, brutalizing Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right? You got anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Con, that was the end of the precept.
Con, sir.
You can keep reading the article.
Akwasi Owusu-Bempah, a professor at the University of Toronto, working with Peel Police, changed training and policy, says the fact that Black people are 3 times more likely than their representation in the general population to be subject to use of force signals that something needs to be done. In 2020, Peel Police were thrust into the spotlight after the high-profile death of multiple Black people and people of color in crisis, including Jamal Francisque, DeAndre Campbell, and Ijaz Chowdhury. That was fueled further by the global Black Lives Matter movement following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis.
Right. So, good night. Like you could just see that now things are coming into the spotlight, right? But it's something that's been happening for a long time. Salakia. I think I found the video that I was looking for. Let me see. Okay, I found the video that I'm looking for. I'm gonna send it to myself. Okay, bear with me a moment. I'm gonna queue up this video. Right. Again, if you're watching, like, subscribe, share the channel. If you got any comments, get the chat active. You could always add talk in the chat. Right. You got any questions, we'll answer them. All right, let me see if I can pull this video up real quick. Right, because it goes to show you like the trauma that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans face while we live our lives under this slave master.
Salaki, I don't know if I may. Something that General Muhammad was bringing out earlier too is that don't think that oppression in Canada isn't real. Right? If just being Black in Canada, you're 5 times more likely to be carded than any other racial group. being black in Canada, or what is that? Being black in Mississauga or Brampton, Peel region, means you have a 32% chance of being brutalized by the police, more than other ethnic racial groups. Right? Oppression in Canada is real. And too many of us believe that oppression doesn't exist in Canada. Right? A lot of people in Canada like to say that, over here in Canada, Canada is a nice group of people. Slavery didn't exist in Canada. We always treated blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans good in Canada. But you see more and more over the years, all the oppression being done to our people. Right? Over 9,000 child graves being dug up on those residential schools.
Right.
Right. Over and over, stories being brought out about how they're treating blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Canada. Oppression is real. You understand? That's something our people got to wake up and realize.
Slocky. Nah, that's definitely heavy. 1 second. Where is it? Okay, I got it. Good, nice. Hold up. Bear with me 1 second. Oppression is definitely real in Canada, right? That reminds me of something that what you were speaking on, Shariwan, right? In ways of the Carden. For a while, Toronto had a black police chief, right? Now, this was a black man who he wakes up black, but he sleeps with Edomites. His wife is a Edomite, right? And the topic of Carden came up, and it was always coming up because a lot of youth, especially youth with no criminal records, they're being damn near stopped every day, right? As they walk through the GTA, which is the Greater Toronto Area. They're being stopped on a regular basis and carded. Their information's being taken. And a lot of children don't know their rights, right? And even though we have rights in Canada as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they're consistently violated, right? Where when you don't want to give up your ID because you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I giving you my ID to be in your system, right?
Yeah.
Then they'll be physically taken to the ground or threatened with arrest, and a lot of black people don't know their rights, so they just go along with it, hoping that the situation ends. Right now, here's the thing: a lot of times, what they would say when they're stopping black children is, "We smell weed." Fast forward some time later, weed is now legal in Canada, so that means they didn't really give a damn about the weed. They just wanted that child's information or that man's information.
Unlimited access to your credit.
So, okay, read that last part in the article you were reading again.
Come.
Because you definitely said some interesting stuff while we were listening to the article.
It says in 2022, Peel police were thrust into the spotlight after the high-profile deaths of multiple black people and people of color in crisis, including Jamal Francis, DeAndre Campbell, and Ijaz Chowdhury.
And that's another thing. When are black people going to learn to stop calling the police on your family members when they're going through a mental breakdown? Right? You know that the family member is going through stress. You need to call a doctor. It would be better if you call the men of the I.S.U.P.K. Khan.
Salaka, funny you said that. That brother Jamal Francis, it was actually his family that made the call because of an argument he was having with his mother. And this brother was, I believe he was schizophrenic and bipolar.
Good, nice.
And when the police showed up to the door, quote unquote, to help de-escalate the situation, it ended up with their son having a bullet in the head.
Right, and that's that Christianity for you, where you think that your oppressor loves you. You think you're gonna get some justice. It's like, okay, the Salakia. You can't call her. I'm gonna stick with snakes, right? I want to say lion, but like the tribe of Judah's a lion, so I don't really want to make the lion seem like the lion's bad. The lion is just trying to eat, right? But a snake, right? Because our oppressor is that same serpent from the garden. Now, your Christian pastor is not going to tell you that, right? And if you had a man of the Lord in your life, right, for counsel, for teaching, right, you would have been taught a while ago that our oppressors are snakes. You can't call your oppressor on your family member because you're having an argument.
Right.
Like, good night. You're supposed to call some family members to deal with the situation. Now, I'm guarantee that mother feels horrible, right? Because her child is dead. The police that killed her, that killed the child, they got a pat on the back, right? A promotion. There's some lieutenants now that have been killing Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, especially in Peel region. It's like one would think you damn near have to brutalize Black people to get some type of raise in that district, right? Now I found the video that I wanted. It's right here. You're gonna see as we watch this video, right? As we watch this video, Salakia, where is it? Oh, this one. Come. Right? I want this one. You're gonna see as we watch this video, there's a child. This child, he's playing on the driveway. Right? He's shooting. You can see the shadow of the basketball. He has a basketball in his hand. He's shooting the ball, just playing, doing child things that normal children do, right? What he's doing is what Edomite children do, which is be a child. Black children don't get to be children. Where we get to grow up fast. He has knowledge that his oppressor is patrolling his neighborhood, and anything can happen to him. Right? And that is a horrible life to live. That is a horrible way to grow up, knowing that there's some beast, some devil, some monster in a badge and uniform that has control over your life. He can pull up, empty his gun 17 times within 1 second of arriving on the scene, like they did Tamir Rice. Right? Just like they killed Tamir Rice. And nothing's going to happen about it. Let's watch. Because his reaction is what most Black children do now is they know the police are horrible people. Hold up.
Family's home security system caught a heartbreaking image, the soon-to-be fifth grader reacting as a police car drives by.
When I got home, I asked.
Right. Let's go right back to it.
As a police car drives by.
He's playing.
Fifth grader, soon-taking image, home security simply being a kid.
He's playing.
The family's home security.
Right? He's doing what Edomite children do,
system,
which is simply be a child. He knows that police officer is driving by. Look where the child is. The child is now behind the car, not trying to be seen. Right? And this is in America, but it's damn near the same thing when you're 10% of a population, but make up 30% of the brutality, 30% of the use of force by that police. Right? Sister Jazz, she said oppression in Canada is definitely systematic. Right? That's what it is for us in Canada and in America. It's the same thing. It happens to us, and we're destroyed because of it, right? A lot of kids. You ever wonder why these kids be smoking weed and using drugs at such a young age? Right? Because they see the brutality. They have no one to speak to. Right? There's so many times. Okay, in Toronto. Right now they have PSRT, and I don't know what the hell that acronym stands for, right? But it's supposed to be some type of community response to violence or something like that. Before them, You had TAB, which was Toronto Anti-Violence Intervention System. They called it TITHES. We called it TAB for short. Now, TAB is a organization that, good night, you would think that Hitler ran that organization himself. The way that you didn't even want to be around. You have no charges, and they want to throw you up against a vehicle. They want to search you for guns. You'd be walking through your neighborhood, and sometimes they would. I've seen this myself. I've even heard it. I've had this said to me, and this is before I ever knew anything about crime. Where you'll be a young man in your neighborhood, and the police officer will pull up beside you, wind down his window, and ask you, "Where are the guns? Do you have a gun on you?" And you're just a child in high school. You're not even worried about a gun or anything like that. You're worried about, is this girl going to answer my text message, right? Am I going to be able to take the girl I have a crush on to the movies? Where's everyone playing basketball? Those are the things that most young kids are worried about. And you have police rolling through your neighborhood asking you where the guns and the drugs are and asking you if you have them. Right. What else do we got in that article?
Khan says CBC News planned to interview Peel Regional Police Dirk Niles on Friday. However, the force canceled the interview approximately 30 minutes before it was set to begin.
Wait, so CBC News was planning to interview the police?
Khan.
Right. But what did they say after that?
However, the force canceled the interview.
Right, because they don't like accountability. Right. This is one thing that you should know, right? Whenever someone's guilty of something, or whenever someone doesn't like accountability for the crimes that they've committed or their actions, when you try to get them to talk about it, they're not going to. They're going to cancel it because now they have to explain why 10% of a population is going through 30% of the bullshit.
Right.
Right. Can you get me Job 9 and 24? Right. Okay. And what we should know as Black people is our history book, right? It has all the answers, right? Our history book would let us know, right, what is up and why we're going through these curses and who the people above us are. Meaning there's a group of people on top of us destroying us and grinding us like grapes in the wine press, and we're bleeding out, right? And let's see what our history book says about them.
It's the book of Job, This is the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
The earth. All throughout the earth, there's a group of people running the earth, and they are wicked, right? The earth is in their hands, right? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Read that one more time.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
The earth where Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans live, right, is given into the hands of the wicked. Meaning the people in power, the people patrolling our neighborhoods, right? That's damn near at the bottom of it. At the top, you got the government who's employing these people, who's giving them their money,
right,
who knows these statistics, and they're doing nothing about it. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The wicked we know as the oppressor, right? The Caucasian man, the man from the Caucasus Mountains, right? Some people like to say he's white. We say he's pink, right? Because listen, you hold up a blank piece of paper to him, he definitely does not look like the paper. But the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. It's wicked to brutalize a people who've already been beaten down to a pulp. Right. First, you take our heritage from us. Then you put drugs in our community. Right. So they put drugs in our community, and then they go and patrol the community, right, saying, where are the drugs? Right. Well, check the police station. That's where they're coming from. Right. There's boats. The drugs come in by the boatloads, and we don't own the boats. But you'll find out that a boat that J.P. Morgan owned has drugs on it. Right. You're wondering to yourself, where are all the guns in your community coming from when we don't make guns?
And don't get it twisted. Don't think that it's just our people that are the ones doing these drugs and taking these drugs and selling these drugs, like our oppressor and these other nations of people, right? They're doing the exact same thing, if not more. They got all the money in the world to spend on drugs.
Right.
And that's where, shoot, I even know in the world, that's where a lot of people would go. A lot of drug dealers would go to make their money. They're going into the rich white neighborhood to sell all those rich white kids all the drugs. They're the ones who should be getting pulled over. They're the ones who should be getting carded. They're the ones that should be getting brutalized by the police because they're doing all the wickedness. Salaki.
Right. It's definitely true, but okay, they're not going to be doing that because they would be arresting their cousins.
Yeah.
They'd be in court. You'd see the judge. The judge would be in court, and he'd be like, "Damn, that's my niece." And now right. So that's definitely not gonna happen, right? We understand that the number one drug dealer, the number one criminal in the earth is the Caucasian man, right? That's who the gangsters are. That's who's supposed to be getting charged with gangsterism and organized crime, right? We're Commander General YAHANNA and Blackwatch, right? Commander General YAHANNA's Blackwatch, they were bringing it out a while back about police gangs and how there's gangs in the police who they're playing some game, like it's like a score game for like black people you can kill and brutalize and stuff like that. Like, good night. Right. This is something we always see. Keep reading that precept.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof.
Right. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. We had a judge. His name was Christ. Right. He's our king. He's coming back. He's on his way back shortly. Right. No one knows the time, but it looks like the time is fastly approaching. Right. You don't want to get caught slipping up. Right. You should want to be in here. Right. Now, do you know why? Okay, so they covered up the judges, right? They made our king look like some Edomite, some effeminate Edomite, right? And our king was a black man, right? But there's a reason why police could brutalize us and nothing happens, because all the other nations have a nation. They have solidarity. They have brotherhood, right? You're not going to go into the Hasidic. I've seen a video. Now I always got to go to these videos that I've seen, right? Because I seen a video. This is during COVID. It's somewhere in New York where the fake Jewish man's having some type of party. You have the NYPD trying to shut it down, but they're not doing what they do to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? They're not brutalizing us, right? You had these Hasidic Jews down there attacking the police,
Right.
And no one's being arrested, no one's being tased, and no one's being shot because they know that they have a nation and they have leaders who are going to fight for their people, right? But even look at Akai Gurley, right? Captain Tazariak was always bringing this out, and this is how I found out about it. Because Akai Gurley, he was in one of the projects in New York, right? He had to take the stairs because they treat our buildings and where we live like they don't deserve to be fixed, right? So this brother's taking the stairs. I guess the stairs are dimly lit. The Asian police officer who's patrolling that neighborhood is in the stairwell too, and he gets scared of a black man because a black man is the most scariest thing on earth. Right, especially a black man that's in the UPK. They are horrified of us. They do not want us to be in here. They're calling the border patrol, right, to make sure our brothers and sisters can't come up from across the states. And that's B'nai B'rith is doing that, right? But B'nai B'rith is not in our neighborhoods saying stop using drugs and stop the killing and love each other. And B'nai B'rith is definitely not telling us that we're the real Jews of the Bible, right? But Akai Gurley, he was in New York. Some Asian police officer was patrolling the steps where he was walking in the building, like the stairwell, and he killed him. He was convicted of this murder, right? but his people protested, and because they have a nation and they have love for each other, that police officer didn't get no time for killing this brother. Right? And we don't get that same love. We protest. You want to give money to Black Lives Matter, while Black Lives Matter is buying $6 million mansions in Chinatown, and they're using it for the LGBTQ community. Right? So I guess Black lives really didn't matter to them. Right? What else do we got? Is that the end of the precept you had?
Loves.
You can keep reading.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Now, if our oppressor is not the wicked, is not the devil the Bible speaks of, who is? Right? Because Officer Shariwan, what he's bringing out right now, he's letting you know that, and give Officer Shariwan a hand, because he found this article, right? And it's an article that everyone needs to read, right? Salakia, Officer Shariwan, can you email me the article? When you get a chance, email it to me so I can put it in the back chat, so I can put it in the comments, so our people could click the link and find it. Right? Oh yeah, you can post it. You can post it in the chat.
Okay.
Right. So we're finding out that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. If you're in the UPK, you already know this. If you're in Christian church, you think the wicked is some Salakia. I don't even know how the Christian church described the devil. How do they describe him? Like a man in red with horns and a pitchfork.
Right.
When the devil is patrolling Peel Region in a Charger, a Dodge Charger, a souped-up Dodge Charger, and they're waiting and patiently waiting to hunt some black brother, some Hispanic brother, some sister. Right now. You could post it when you get a chance. That's our life. Our life is a horrible life, especially under this oppressor who's a demon. And on top of that, they'll brutalize us and act like they did nothing wrong. Salakia? Okay. They'll attack us and act like they absolutely did nothing wrong, because who are you to say that a police officer is not supposed to be beating you into the ground, right? Who are you to say that a police officer is not supposed to be knocking you upside your head? Because at the end of the day, to them, you're just a slave. You're nothing. You don't deserve to live. Right? You don't deserve the same rights that they're going to give to everybody else. Salakia. One moment. I'm about to get that link for y'all so I can post it in the chat. Give us a moment. It'll pop up in a second. All right. So, Officer Shariwan, what else do we got in our article?
Okay. The report concedes that the collection of race-based use of force data in its current form severely limits the ability to analyze whether certain police procedures...
Wait, read that again?
The report concedes that the collection of race-based use of force data in its current form severely limits the ability to analyze whether certain police procedures may be contributing to disproportionalities or disparities in relation to race.
Right. So the data that they have, they're basically saying they can't figure out if the Salaki. I'm trying to understand what the hell they're talking about, right? What it sounds like is they can't use the data to figure out if they have procedures that basically, based off your race, they can't tell if these procedures are contributing to the use of force.
Okay.
Right? Now that is wicked, right? Even when, again, this goes right into the next precept that I wanted. Can you pull up Zechariah 5:11? Because even when the police are shown on camera, like you're on camera punching that brother in his head, you're gonna turn around and say, no, I wasn't punching him in the head like that. There was a reason why I had to punch him in the head until he was incapacitated on the ground, while 3 or 4 of my other colleagues pinned him to the ground. Give me Zechariah 11:5. Yeah.
Okay. It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. Whose possessors slay them.
Right. Our possessors slay them. Peel Region Police is slaying us. They're killing us. Brothers are dying at the hands of this police force. Right. We're in a position where, because you have no hedge, you have no leadership. Your leaders don't give a damn. Listen, your leaders are they care about if you could buy them a Movado watch or how much jewelry they can buy. Right. But our leaders aren't doing anything. Right now, Barakatha Yahweh for Yahweh Salakia, Barakatha Yahweh Shai for Commander General YAHANNA, right? Because we have a man who loves blacks, Hispanics so much that he decided to raise up brothers all throughout the earth to teach us to come back home, to teach us it's time to follow the Lord so we can get from under these oppressors. Right? Because our oppressors slay us. They're killing us. Right? It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a child, if you're young or old. Right? They are absolutely murdering us. Keep reading.
And hold themselves not guilty.
Then they turn around and say, we're not guilty. You shot that brother 46 times and it's damn near on camera. Right? You beat that brother upside the head with a steel pipe, or you tasered him to death, or you choked him out, or you hopped out your car and within 1 second killed him, or that brother was having a nervous breakdown and you know he's having a nervous breakdown.
Right.
You know he's going through some mental disorder at the moment where everything is going on in his head, and here's the funny part, which is not really funny, but it's just a figure of speech, right? A lot of brothers, God, a lot of brothers are going through this oppression or going through mental breakdowns because they seen you destroy their family or they seen you beat up their family members. Right? Let me get this precept back. Right? Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Right? They hold themselves not guilty after killing us. They act like they did nothing wrong. Like, it's, why are you niggas mad? Like, why are you mad? You're just a nigga. You're not supposed to be mad. You should be happy. Right? And this is another thing. The Christian church, there's a bunch of uppity black folks, right? Who would say the police need to be in our neighborhoods more because there's so much crime going on, right? Instead of trying to police your own neighborhoods, instead of trying to raise up brothers, strong brothers who know the law of their Father, the Most High, right? And let those brothers control the neighborhood, right? You want to run to your oppressor. It's like a chicken going to a fox and saying to the fox, listen, we got some bad chickens in here. Can you turn around and take care of those bad chickens, right? Well, here's what's gonna happen, and this is something that's always been happening. The fox doesn't care about any of the chickens. He just wants to eat. He doesn't care about if it's a bad chicken or a good chicken. He's going to eat all the chickens. And this is what happens. We have police officers who come into our neighborhood and they kill all of us. They destroy all of us. Right? Hold up. and hold themselves not guilty. This is Zechariah 11:5. Whose possessors slay them. They kill us, right? They shoot us. They choke us out. They beat us into the ground, right? And hold themselves not guilty. They turn around and say, listen, we didn't do much to you. We're not guilty of this crime. And they that sell, they say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, right? And these same oppressors, they get rich off of our oppression. And after they kill us and after all of this stuff, they say they are rich, right? They get to walk around in the kingdom and act like everything is good, right? Salakia, today this goes perfectly into what we're talking about, right? And when Shariwan comes back, he'll probably elaborate it on some more. Today we were handing out flyers at, what was it? Sinting Fest on Eglinton and Oakwood, right? There's a bunch of gentrification going on in Eglinton and Oakwood, or Little Jamaica, right? Go on the channel that you're watching right now on I.S.U.P.K Canada and go watch the oppression, the gentrification on Eglinton tape, right? You're gonna hear a brother he's been on Eglinton for years, right? And he basically sells juices and made his own little business off Eglinton, right? Selling to black folks, right? And that he's talking about all the oppression that's happening, right? Now, we were on Eglinton today. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Go watch that tape. Like it, share it to all social media, right? Watch the tape, like it, and share it. Right? It's called Gentrification on Eglinton or Little Jamaica. Or Eglinton, aka Lil Jamaica. Right? So now we're on Eglinton today at the Sinting Fest, handing out flyers, boots on the ground, handing out prison program flyers. And it's like, I couldn't hand out enough prison program flyers. Everybody wanted one, right? Because everybody has a family member in jail because we're over policed, right? In the eyes of the oppressor, we're the number one criminal, but we don't bring in metric tons of cocaine and carfentanil. Carfentanil comes from Asia, but the police are in our communities acting like we're the ones that are the worst people on earth. So we're handing out prison program flyers, and I'm handing them out. Right, I handed out so much prison program flyers that we ran out. Now some devil, he comes up and he's talking, and he has the black scent down to a T. Like, good. Listen, they practice that black scent in their house. They wake up in the morning, and just like Marshall Mathers practices raps and how he could be the best nigga on earth, they practice that black scent. He came up with his black scent. He asked for a prison program flyer, so I'm looking for one to give to him because I'm gonna give him this prison program flyer, and he's gonna read it, and he's gonna know it has nothing to do with him. But if you see someone on that list, hand it to that person. Let them know. Now the question comes up because the black scent was so strong. Like, if he was on the phone, you would think this is a nigga. You'd like, who's his brother? So we're looking at him. He looks devil, but he speaks Israel, right? So the question pops up, who's your daddy? And he said, I am a 4th generation colonizer.
Good night.
They know who they are.
God.
He said it. He's the 4th generation colonizer. But then he turned around and said, it's all about knowledge. It's like, good night. We know you're the devil the Bible speaks of. Right? Can you keep reading? From right here. You can read from after guilty.
Okay. And they that sell thee say, blessed be the Lord.
Right. Our oppressors, they sell us, they make merchandise out of us. There's a Jamaican festival going on Eglinton. A bunch of shops and good night. Listen, there was a brother. We got some sugarcane from juice from a brother at the Soca Fest, right? The Reggae Soca Fest. He was out there. So I'm like, hey, Shariwan, he's back, right?
Yeah.
You look behind him because his booth that was set up was on the street. It's a street festival. You look behind him, the Asians are outside of their business. They sell Chinese food to black people in Little Jamaica, right? They're outside cooking up because they can't have black people just make all the money today.
Right.
Right? They had to get their taste, their portion in. Right? Keep reading.
Come. For I am rich.
The ones that sell us, they say they are rich because they're getting rich off of us. Sisters are spending billions of dollars in these Asian hair product stores, and none of that money's coming back into the community. Now, if we had some of that money come back into the community, or we're spending $1 billion on us, we would be able to fight police destroying us, right? You can't even turn around and say, listen, the police can't kill us no more because we have no fight in us. Let's thank Commanding General YAHANNA for teaching black people how to fight again. That's why you have myself and Officer Shariwan walking around the city of Toronto, everywhere where black people are, trying to wake them up so we can teach them how to fight again. How to not just watch your brother brutalized. How to know a situation for what it is, right? And the situation that we're being killed by police. We're being beat up by police. The use of force, right? Now, even with the use of force, there's a use of force and the use of deadly force. Now, we need the statistics on the use of deadly force because half of it doesn't even make the news. Keep reading.
Data shows the total count of use of force applications dropped from 1,100 in 2020 to 940 in 2022, representing a 15% decrease.
Right. So they're saying there's a decrease in the use of force, right? But we still have a high number of use of force. Can you finish that precept?
Come on, sir. It says, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Our own shepherds, the Christian pastors, the so-called politicians, pity us not. Now, there's another video that I want to find. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it. Hold up. Right? Because it's the police chief. Now you would think, listen, we got a black police chief. Yeah, there's a black police chief. We're not gonna get killed no more. We're not gonna get our asses kicked. Salakia. Good night. Hold up. Let me see if I can find it. Give me one moment. I'm going to look for this thing right quick. One would think that when you have your people in power, that they're going to be like, these are my people. You can't be treating them wrong. Right? And it's totally the opposite. All right, so I've had this for a minute. I'm going to try and find it. Give me a moment. I'm going to see if I can find it. All right, so I'm gonna look for it in a second. Like I got it pulled up. I'm just trying to find the cue on when he's talking about it. But this black man, he starts defending the carting that we're going through in the city. Right. Officer Shaywan, you can read more of that article.
Okay. It reads, all groups except for East and Southeast Asian, Middle Eastern and indigenous groups showed a decrease in use of force incidents. Police attributed the increase in force against people of Middle Eastern and indigenous descent
Take the class over for a
to
second.
multiple reports made for the same individual. It reads, police can use varying types of force, ranging from conducted energy weapons, better known as tasers, and physical control, to pepper spray and firearms. And so, Salaki, this is something I've seen so much of, right? When we're talking about this brutal force used on our people, right? As this article is saying, this is talking about brothers and sisters being pepper sprayed, right? Brothers and sisters being tasered, right? And from firearms. These are the different brutalization going on with our people, and I think it might be hard for some people to fathom, but really do the numbers on that. It's saying blacks are 32% more likely to be brutalized, or they're 32% of the brutalizations that are happening to our people, and only 10% of the population. That's such a small number of the population for things to be happening to our people, right? And this is the reality of the oppression that we're in, right? I remember being at a party one time. You know, it was a while. It was quote unquote a college party, right? We're younger, we're out, we're drinking, whatever it may be, and there's a noise complaint that gets called at the house that we're partying at. And so the cops come. These two cops show up, I guess, to shut the party down. And long story short, as people are leaving this party, there's a brother, because I guess he's too intoxicated, he gets tased by the police. And I remember seeing the look on this devil's face before that brother was tased, and it was almost like they knew that they could get away with what they were about to do, because there's young kids there, everybody's drinking, and he has this devilish smile on his face. And I look at him, I'm looking at him in the eyes, I can see this devil smiling. And as soon as he sees me smiling and makes eye contact, he immediately gets a straight face. He immediately gets rid of the smile, and then they go on to tase this young brother that's at this party. And I remember watching this brother. This brother's sitting on the ground, he's shaking, he's tipsy, he's getting tased, girls are screaming. And I didn't see anybody of another race get tased. He didn't pull out his taser on any Asians. He didn't pull out his taser on any Europeans. He pulled his taser out on a black man, just because he could. These are the things that go on and are happening to our people again and again and again. Every black man, Hispanic man, and indigenous man has a story of some kind of police brutality. Growing up, being thrown out a cop car, being stopped by police, asking, where are you going? What are you doing? You fit the description of so-and-so. These are real things, and this is real fear that they put on our people. These are the things that we have to face because we as a people chose not to obey the Most High. Right? Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 16. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 16 says, or Salaki, I'll start at verse 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we did not hearken to the voice of the Lord our God. We didn't listen. We're a stubborn and a stiff-necked people. We didn't listen to the Most High's voice. It says to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes. You understand? Not just two of them, like your Christian pastor would tell you, right? But Moses was saying all of them.
Right.
Which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And like I said before, we're cursed because we didn't listen to the voice of the Lord our God. Right? We were overtaken by these curses for disobeying them. Just like we disobey him today. Verse 16 says, cursed shalt thou be in the city. And this is what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are. We are cursed in the city. Right? Being carded by the police 5 times more than other races of people, that is being cursed in the city. Being tased and pepper sprayed by police, being shot at by police. This is being cursed in the city. You understand? And cursed shall thou be in the field. Right? We're cursed on our jobs. Right? We're out there at work trying to get raises. We got to work harder than everybody else, right? Just to maintain our jobs, or just to get ahead. These things are going on with us because we didn't obey the Lord our God. And this is what the I.S.U.P.K is telling our people to get back to, is that we got to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments.
Right. And you could, like, when we turn away from our Lord, we have no power. It doesn't matter how much money you have. We absolutely have no power, right? And again, like the precept we were reading earlier, our leaders don't pity us, right? Now, I found the video that I was looking for. Slovakia. Let me see if I can find it.
I'm surrounded by a great staff. I've got a great support of this subject matter. What I've found over recent past are the 3 definitions of carding.
All right. So you're about to listen to a Oreo cookie talk about the problems that we face. Now, this man, he's definitely black, right? He's definitely black, and he's definitely a Benjamite. But he loves his oppressor. So much so that he couldn't have a sister. He had to get with an oppressor's daughter, right? And this is why his stance on carding and the trauma that happened to young black men in his city and the surrounding cities is what it is, right? Because he's basically saying carding is a good thing. Carding is basically they'll stop you and they take your ID. And if you refuse to give your ID, they're going to use force and physically subdue you and then take your ID from you. Or charge you. Now you're in the station and you're going to get ID regardless, right? So let me find it. Hold up. All right, so what do we got here?
Yeah, definition A, which has eroded the public trust. Do you agree? Board to work with as well.
Let's talk about the issue that is top of mind for so many people in the city, and that is carding. The mayor of Toronto, John Tory, says he believes that carding, in his words, has eroded the public trust. Do you agree?
Now, this is the mayor of the city, who's an oppressor who used to smoke weed. All right, he's an oppressor who I said that to say this because he was a man who he was all for locking brothers up for weed, right? Just before weed became legal in Canada, right? But now he's the mayor of the city, right? And he's saying carding has eroded the trust, right? Basically, he's saying black people don't trust police because you're always stopping them for no reason and taking their ID. And this is a black man who was the police chief at the time before he was fired, right? Because he lost his job because they blamed him for all the violence, right? And that's something you also got to know. Like when you're someone in power, they're always gonna blame you for everything, right? We blame the Christian church because the Christian church is not telling blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're the Israelites. You're going through this oppression because you're not following the laws. You're not showing brotherhood or sisterhood to each other, right? But let's hear his stance on carding.
Well, I can tell you, Matt, through the extensive research, and trust me, I've been well informed of this subject matter. What I've found over recent past is there's 3 definitions of carding, and we need to hone in and get this thing right. You have definition A, which says the random stopping of innocent people, the gathering of information, and then the recording of this information. And then you have B, which is whenever a police officer stops and records information of anybody. And then you have C, and that's when a person is stopped and doesn't feel good about the encounter that they have with police. And I hear that over and over and over again. But I can also tell you that 90% of the people that I have spoken to, and I asked them if they've read our PACER review, if they've read the procedure, if they've read the policies, 90% of the people have not. And that's where there is this disconnect. And I've said,
so I got to stop it right there, right? He's saying 90% of the people he's spoken to. Is he speaking to the 30% in Peel Region, or that other percent? Because Peel Region and Toronto, even those 2 cities next to each other, you could damn near take those same numbers and apply it to Toronto, because Peel Region is a smaller city than the city of Toronto. But is he talking to that percent of brothers and sisters who are being violated by the police with use of force? And he's basically saying the 90% that I speak to, they're not even reading our policy on carding, right? No one's going to read the policy on carding. All they know is random police are stopping them in their neighborhoods while they might be going home from school, just walking through their neighborhood, even going to work, and demanding their ID.
Will not support random stopping of anybody. I will not do that, and I do not tolerate that.
Back to the question, though. Do you believe it's eroded the public trust, no matter what you call it?
Well, the people that define it as the random stopping, there is an issue there. But I can tell you, we've stopped doing that. There are many people that say what we are doing is right if it's done properly. And when we do it properly, it's lawful. When we do it properly, it enhances community safety.
The mayor of Toronto says that he spoke with you prior.
All right, so that was that, right? Now, on one hand, he's saying he doesn't support random stopping people, and they don't do it anymore, that's a outright lie, right? This is something that it still happens, right? Especially depending on the neighborhood you're from, right? A lot of brothers, a lot of young black males are being targeted by the police, even when they don't have a criminal history, right? So, like, can you keep reading? Actually, get 1 Corinthians 6 and 2, and then you can read some more of that article for us.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 2. Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world?
Right. Now, the reason I'm bringing this precept up or this scripture is because black people aren't supposed to be policed by their oppressors, right? The black people are supposed to be policed and judged by their own people, their own brethren, right? Because you feel some type of ways when you see a black person brutalized. You want justice for your people. We're never going to get justice from a people who've murdered 7,000 plus Native American children since the 60s? That's big 60s scoop, right? You can also go on this channel and look for the 60 scoop video, right? There's an interview with a brother who survived the 60 scoop, right? And that's basically in the 60s, the Catholic Church and the Canadian government, They grabbed up a whole bunch of Native children, kidnapping them from their homes, brutalized them on residential schools, and now we're finding those bodies of dead children. You're not getting justice from that man. The man who thinks it's okay to brutalize children and then act like, okay, I'm just gonna give you a date, we're gonna have a party, we're gonna have some ceremony, and that resolves all the oppression and all the murder. That gives you justice. That's not justice. Right? Keep reading.
So like
Okay.
let me pull up verse 1. It speaks of
Where is verse 1?
Going to the law before the unjust.
God, you could read that one.
Okay. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 1. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust?
Right. That reminds us of what Sharyuan was talking about with the brother whose parents called the police on him because he was having an argument. When you were supposed to call the men in the I.S.U.P.K, right? You were already supposed to be in the I.S.U.P.K so you could call your camp leader. You were already supposed to know that you are the children of Israel, so you can't go to your oppressor to figure this thing out. You can't go to your oppressor to be like, damn, I gotta listen. Now, this is never gonna happen, right? But me and Officer Sharyuan start to get into it. We start to physically fight, or we start to argue. We're not gonna call the police on each other. We're not gonna go to some oppressor to figure it out. Like Officer Sharyuan's gonna say, Zabadra, he owes me some money and he hasn't paid it, right? Or Zabadra might have stole my car. So like, that's never gonna happen. But I'm just trying to give you scenarios of things that happen. Officer Sharyuan never gonna go to the police to seek justice, right? Because we have our own. In this body, we have our own government to sort of to say, right? We have our own hierarchy, right? Where we can call to get help on this matter. We can call to have a righteous man judge this matter.
Sure.
Right? Keep reading.
And not before the saints?
Meaning we're gonna go to our camp leaders if we have any issues. Right? You gotta go to certified priests and prophets of the Lord. That if you're trying to find justice on a matter between brothers, you're not supposed to go to your oppressor. Keep reading.
Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world?
We're not supposed to have a slave master's son patrolling our neighborhood,
Right.
thinking that you're going to get some type of peace. You're going to get some type of outside of justice. You're going to get some type of law and order from these brothers, from those Salakia, from those men, right? Because those devils absolutely hate you. You're not getting peace. You're gonna get everything that the police hate, right? And they hate you. So you're gonna get what they hate, and they hate you, so they're gonna get you. You're gonna get all the aggression of the hate that they have for you. Keep reading.
And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
Your family member is having a breakdown. You gotta call family.
Right.
You don't call your enemy. See, what your pastors aren't telling you is that the oppressor is your enemy. These heathen nations are your enemy. Right? Jump back down to 2.
Verse 2. Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
Read.
Verse 3. Know ye not that we shall judge angels?
Right. This is basically talking about there's going to be coming time when Christ comes back, right? That there's going to be righteous men who they're given the power to judge all situations, right? We're not supposed to have our brothers and sisters being brutalized by the police. We're not supposed to go to them and think that we're going to get any type of justice. We're going to get any type of reform. We've been asking for police reform since the days of the slave catchers, right? That was the end of it?
No, sir.
Kind actually drop that. Bring us to Psalms 83. Right. What else was in that article we had? Let's see if there's anything else in that article. All right. We're definitely coming up on that time where the class is going to end. Right. Again, like, subscribe, and share this class. If you got any questions on the subject, you could definitely type it in. Right. I'm going to drop the sign-in link. Oh, Salakia, actually. Okay, I'm going to drop the sign-out link. So anybody who wants to participate in these classes, I know there's a couple brothers probably watching. They're like, damn, these brothers be saying some stuff. I want to be able to teach my peoples that and go into my neighborhoods and teach that. Just hit that sign out link. Right? Do 90 days, become a trooper, get in all black, learn what you got to learn so you can be able to teach. Right? Don't be a brother that just says anything, because today I told a brother, like we're a love group. We're about love and black power and love for our people. And he said, yeah, that's why they call us niggas, and because we were talking about oppression. So I said, yeah, but niggas just means black. Like they've been calling us that for a while now. Right? And he said, yeah, but it was niggas. Like he told me some blackity black shit. Don't be that brother. Don't be the brother that just repeats what you hear. And when Shariwan checked him, Shariwan got some neat little checks. And he said, what language is that? He said, I don't know. Don't be that guy. It's horrible. You want to actually learn and know what the hell you're talking about when you got to talk about it. So hit that sign out link. It's right there. I got the article that we were reading. I'm going to put that in the chat. Salakia. Officer Shariwan, you know which verse I want in 83?
Salakia, verse.
Yeah, just the nations around about us. Right, you could start at damn near verse 2.
Book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies, Salakia. Verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. And
right, our enemies are round about us, and they gotten together. Right, they gotten together to destroy us for our oppression. This is why no one ever speaks about the oppression we go through until we start burning down Walmarts and Targets, and then they look at us like they're burning down their own neighborhoods. Right. Well, I'm gonna paraphrase. Oppression makes a wise man mad. Meaning you're either gonna bug out and burn down your own things, or you're gonna come in here getting all black and bring it out and start speaking about it and be angry at the oppression you speak. Right? Keep reading.
And they that hate thee have lifted up their head.
These nations have gotten together to destroy us, to oppress us, to make sure that we don't become in power. It's just like the gentrification that we're seeing on Eglinton and Oakwood. We're seeing this gentrification, and these nations have gotten together to build a subway. And they, from Mount Dennis all the way up to Kennedy on Eglinton, that's west end to the east end, right? They're revitalizing all of Eglinton, and they forgot to name Little Jamaica in the revitalization plan. Right? Keep reading.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They put drugs in our community. And they put guns in our community. They told our sisters, your man is a piece of a piece of shit, Salakia. They said they're the ones who told sisters niggas ain't shit. Right? You gotta say it just like that, because that's how they say it. That's the crafty counsel. They set up these pastors to evangelize to us about not keeping the law and doing everything the Lord hates, so the Lord won't be on our side. Right? That's the crafty counsel. They keep reading.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
Read.
They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
They hated that we knew who we were, and now we don't. And now you try to listen. Have you, as a black people, have you ever tried to talk to other black people walking down the street? It's like trying to pull teeth.
Right.
They look at you like you're an alien, right? Let a white person come down to them and be like, hey, they want to smile, show all their teeth, and act like this is my best friend. Right? They cut us off from being a nation. That nation is coming back together in one West, right? One West is only I.S.U.P.K. Right? Today we're outside and they said, oh, you're that group that was on the corner. Nah, we haven't even been on the corner over here. We're up and down on the streets though, but we're somewhere else, right? Again, one West is only the ISUPK, right? The place that's going to teach you brotherhood and love. Come.
Slack the other one. They've cut us off so well from being a nation that when you see another Black, Hispanic, or Native American man being oppressed and you're not oppressed, you say you're good.
Good. That's the other one right there. I'm not oppressed. Listen, I'm not gonna say I'm oppressed because I found brotherhood, right? But I look at my people and see that we're Salakia. Okay, the state of Black people look like. Have you ever had an apple tree? Now, if you had an apple tree in your backyard, you've seen an apple tree, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? There's a point where the apple looks amazing on that tree. It's like, good night. Look at that apple up there. It's all red and it's ready to go and it's all shining. You just want to pick it, wash it in some water. Or listen, you might be like people who grew up in the country. You didn't even wash that in water. You just rub it off in your shirt and eat that and be like, Lord be with me, right? But at the bottom of the apple tree, you start to see apples that fell onto the ground. And the wasp get them, and the yellow jacket bees get them, right? And some kids is in the backyard running around, and they keep stepping on them, and they're all squishy. That's what Black people look like. That's what a cut-off nation looks like. It looks like the apples that nobody wants, the apples that you step on, right? What else do we got in that article? We could probably read a little more of that article, see if there's any other points. Right, but these people have taken crafty counsel against us. They've destroyed us. They've brutalized us. Right. This is that fierce nation. This is a fierce nation. They absolutely don't give a damn about who they hurt or who they kill. Right. We were taught never to trust our enemies. Right. I'm not sure if Shariwan brought that precept up already, but we were taught never to trust our enemies because when we try to trust them, they brutalize us, they kill our children, and then we can get no justice. We march around and say no justice, no peace, and 3 days later we forget about it like that thing never happened. Anything else in there? Right, so Khan. Again, this is the ISUPK Canada scripture breakdown, and we just wanted to read this article to you so you can understand that oppression happens in Canada. Canada is a racist country. Benjamites can't even come up here to find work outside of being on a farm, right? But guess who controls a lot of the banking and who owns a lot of property in the Caribbean islands? The banks of Canada, right? So again, I'm preaching Salakia. Who do we got right quick? 1 second. What's going on, Barak? Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yahweh Shem Shabakatam.
Shalom out, Yahweh Shem Shabakatam.
Yahweh Shem Shabakatam.
You caught us in the tail end of the class. We just about to end in a few. But we were talking about police brutality in Toronto, right? Where in Brampton, Salakia, Brampton's the city next to Toronto, that city we stayed in that night on the weekend of Brotherhood,
Wakan.
right? In that city, there's basically we make up as a people. Who's that lawyer? Bond lawyer? What's going on?
Yeah, but sure,
Hey,
sure.
Y'all must be a Shabbat. Y'all Tawab?
Wakan.
Khan. We were talking about Brampton, right? And how in the city of Brampton, which is a city next to Toronto, we make up 10% of the population, but 30% of Brampton police's use of force.
Right.
Right. So that's what we were talking about, and they're basically saying like they can't tell if with the data if it's because of their procedures or if their police are just racist. Right. I'm more leaning towards the latter, that their police are just racist. The heathen nations hate us because we're Black, Hispanic, and Native American, and we're God's chosen people. Right. Also, show you on. Did you have anything you want to add before we sort of close out?
Salaki Adawan.
Khan.
I don't know if you brought out that scripture already, but I may have a scripture for that.
Khan.
Right. So basically, the scripture is Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'm gonna start at verse 49. Right.
Khan, we were just talking about it. Bring that up.
Wakan. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle fleet. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So I'm gonna start breaking it down from verse 49, right? Basically, because we disobey the laws, statutes, and commandments, the instructions that the Most High gave us to be able to live what we would call eternal life, right? We were plagued with some curses, and one of these curses is that our Father, the Most High, would bring a nation against us, right? A nation from a different land, from a far land, right? Against us. And when I say as swift as the eagle fleet, I mean, when you look at what we call so-called America today, the symbol of pride of America is the eagle, just like it was with the Romans and everything, just like many of our captivities, you understand? So it's basically like history repeats itself because we keep disobeying the Most High, right? And when I say a nation whose tongue we will not understand, is because we were not speaking English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, whatever the case is, Creole or Patois. We were speaking Hebrew at some point, right?
Right.
And we did not understand the language of the oppressor that came in the Western, in the Americas and the Caribbeans, because we're still speaking Hebrew until we got enslaved by the Spaniards, English and French whatsoever, right? So now let me keep reading. Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. I mean, regardless wherever you are, whether it's Toronto, whether it's Montreal, whether it's New York, the police officers are racist. You understand?
Right.
Police brutality plagues our whole community, whether it's the Black, Hispanics, or Native community, which is, in a sense, the same community. You understand? They don't care if you're 80 years old, right? Like I think it was a Judite sister who was 80 years old. The police tased her to death, or they shot her to death, right? When they got into her home. And they don't care if you're 13 years old, just like Tamir Rice,
Right.
who was shot because he was playing with a BB gun. You understand? That's in Cleveland, Ohio. They don't care what age you are, how old or young you are getting it from the police officers. Because when we have, for example, mass shooters like Dylan Roof or Peyton Gendron or whatever his name is, you understand, shooting churches and supermarkets where our people gather, right? They will arrest their kin and bring him to Burger King or McDonald's, get a burger before putting him in the jail cells. You understand? They will arrest any mass shooters and make sure that the mass shooter is in custody, is safely put in custody. While they don't care about us, they arrested a brother. They put him in a police van, and the police van had to they had to brake at a stoplight at some point. They used the brake so fast and so hard, right, that the brother got slammed into the wall of the police van and broke his spinal cord. That
Right.
would never happen to an Edomite. It would only happen to a so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indian. That's what I wanted to bring out, right? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50, that a nation of fierce countenance, which means a nation who really doesn't care about us, which doesn't regard the old or show favor to the young. They don't care about no old person or a young. You understand?
Right.
And we have to keep that in our mind, because that's how we will be able to separate from the oppressors and gather together as one nation, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's it, Adawan.
No sweat. That's definitely heavy. That's definitely heavy, right? Because you could well, everything you said was right and correct and right in tune with everything we were talking about today. This is that nation, right? The so-called Edomite or Caucasian man, right, with his band of other nations that they absolutely don't care about what happens to us, right? And that's why we were talking about earlier. You're not supposed to call the police on your brothers and sisters,
Right.
right? You having a simple little argument. You're not supposed to call the police. Lawyer,
Yeah, Salak, yeah, you understand? And even on TikTok, you understand? Like, there's a video that's going on TikTok. There's a Levi brother, you understand, in Montreal with a Edomite, you understand, with a Edomite beast, you understand, whatever, a friend that he has. Now, you could see in the video where the police go to that brother, you understand, because he stopped, you understand, in a trying to get gas or whatever. You understand? You understand? He was trying to get gas, and the police just stopped him. And it was like, well, because you're black, you must, and you from Montreal North, you must be part of the gang, street gang. And they were actually, you understand, in question and everything with the Edomites that was there, with the white man that was there. You understand? Whatever, you understand, that was there. And they were saying, how do you know him? And even the white guy was like, well, I know his grandfather. I sleep in their house and everything. You understand? I sleep with them. You understand? I know them. You understand? I grew up with them. You understand? Meanwhile, the police was in Montreal was just like, you understand, trying to arrest the guy. You understand? Arrest the Levite guy that was there. And even the Levite guy was like, well, I am a black man in Montreal. You understand? This is not my land. Don't shoot me. Don't kill me. You understand? Why? Because we fear the cops, man. Just like Officer Barakala just, you know, put it amazingly, you understand? We fear the cops because, you understand, of these curses that we're going into, man. We fear exactly what's going on with our people because of what we go into, man. We fear exactly what we might go into because of these curses. And one thing that we got to understand is these curses are symbology, you understand, are symbolic of what, you understand, we got to endure in this hell, what we enduring in this hell, man. And nobody else is going through these things except us, man. You understand? Right. Africans know who they are. You understand? Arabs know who they are. You understand? All these other nations will know who they are. We don't know who we are. We got to, you understand, always come back. Well, police brutality and speak against it. You understand? There's a report that says, you understand, Asian people, you understand, in Texas, in the United States, are buying guns more than ever, man. Why do the Asians are buying guns? Because they're getting prepared for World War III, man, in the United States. Meanwhile, we here, all we want to do is party, have fun. You understand? Don't give a damn what's going on, what the future is. All we want to do, now I mean, all we want to do is have a good time. Meanwhile, we are the people of the Bible, man. These things, you understand, are happening to us for a reason. You understand? And us in the UPK, I.S.U.P.K, on the Community Journal, YAHANNA, we're telling you exactly why these things are happening. Because you are the lost tribe of Israel, Black, Hispanics, and Native Indian. And it's about time for you to wake up and realize who you are. Realize, you understand, that your slavery, your captivity means something, man. Understand? It's time for you to, to understand who you are and wake up. That being said, that's all I had to say.
God, nah, that's definitely, listen, that's crazy. right? It's like a video I was watching the other day, and I'm gonna look for this video. We're gonna bring it out tomorrow during the podcast, right? There was a pastor who was watering some lawn, right, in his neighborhood, his neighbor's lawn, and he lives across the street. Somebody in the neighborhood, which is a predominantly white neighborhood, called the police on him, right? And said there is a strange man watering the neighbor's lawn. What it really is the neighbors don't like him because he's black, right? They know exactly who that man is, but they called the police because they know the police are most likely going to come and brutalize us, right? Now, the pastor, they asked the pastor, who are you? He said, well, I'm so-and-so. I live across the street. They said, what are you doing here? The brother had a hose in his hand and it was turned on and he was watering flowers. When they asked him what he was doing here, he said, I'm watering my neighbor's flowers. They went on vacation, right? They said, oh, well, someone called the police on you saying you're a strange man. You're not supposed to be here. He said, I live across the street. They asked him for ID. He refused because he's an innocent man. He's saying, I didn't do nothing wrong. That's what innocent people do. Right? Now, they attacked the brother, put him in handcuffs. Some Edomite lady came, and just like you said, Officer Adiar, they turned around and asked the Edomite questions about the black man. Right? So that's a regular thing that we go through, where they look at us like we are criminals when our oppressor is the number one criminal in the earth, right? Again, for everybody who was watching, share this class, like, subscribe to the channel, right? Check out all our channels, all our classes, all our videos on these channels. Like them, subscribe to them, share them on all social media. Don't forget to pay your tithes, right? Also, tomorrow we'll be going and doing our podcast around the 2:00 hour. The Rise Podcast 1969. The Rise Podcast 1969 is the channel. The Water for Montreal tuning in, right? Give Montreal a hand. Can't wait to get back to Montreal. We're about to get out there very soon and break bread with our brothers and sisters. And ooh wee, Montreal, I got y'all something. Ooh wee. Right. Let's get it. Right. So again, I'm Officer 1000 Zavadra of the I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA. Started out 1 West 1969, Salakia, Harlem, New York. Right. We teach that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites of the Bible. With that said, I'm gonna hand the class to Officer Shariwan. Clap it up.
These are the I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters when they come to the school. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves with the world. They need transportation. The teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashra means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, funeral offering for priests is not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations.
September 25th.
We have the memorial of blowing of trumpets, which is the first day of the 7th month, which in today's calendar is Sunday, the 25th of September. You can read about this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verses 24 to verse 25. Any brother who wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I Madim, which means stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, I Madim Shabbat. I Madim, Barak, Yahweh Yad Yamatah, Sar, turn and face the sisters. Men of Israel, I Madim Shabbat. I Madim, Barak, Yahweh Shabbat. Yahweh, Shamar, Alatha, Hashem, Yahusha. Yad Yamatah. Class dismissed.